Anjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Sattva Shishimari's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Tai Gaura Brahmanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaputale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namni Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Vishesha Srinivadi Paschata Adesatari. Hare Krishna. Thank you for attending this morning's second session on the patience, tolerance and forbearance. Looks like all of you have all of that. Hopefully we don't doze off. All right, so we'll continue from where we stopped yesterday. Hopefully we can go through some of this quickly and come to some of the important parts. So the long-term benefits of patience. First point is patience cultivates trust. What does it mean? Trust just doesn't develop overnight, right? It's not like sometimes you can, ferment things overnight. It happens, right? Yeah, but trust is not something you do like that. It's a relationship that may take some time. And especially so if you lose trust with someone. And then it's even a longer period of time to build the trust back. But you know what? Even though if you build the trust, it's not the same. Yeah? So, do you want that? Yeah, sometimes it hurts. But you may build the trust back, but then it's not a difficult, it will be a very difficult thing to do. So, when we build trust with one another, it has to be done consistently in a fashion that there's a lot of open-hearted communication. This is what Krishna consciousness is all about. If you want to have a loving relationship, you must be vulnerable. That means each party understands the other party's pros and cons, or good and bad. Prabhu, I have this bad habit. Mata, I have this bad hair habit, like that. So they all know you, and they can say, yeah, he's an honest person. I can trust. We'll come to one of the pastimes where Prabhupada highlights about how truth actually brings one to a higher position eventually. Yeah? Okay. So patience is important because it cultivates trust. What else can patience do? When devotees are patient, they give each other time to prove reliability in commitment. That means it reinforces, just as I mentioned earlier, trust in relationship. Okay? Same thing. It reinforces the trust issue. And then finally, patience promotes emotional stability. Means some of us have impulsive nature, right? More of passion, or maybe no passion at all, but it reduces your impulsive reactions. Why it's important? Because if you are impulsive, you may say or do things that will cause hurt. Okay? Like hurtful words you will say, and then you can't take back. Right? When you vomit, you don't eat your vomit, right? Right or not? So that's what it is. If you say something hurtful, it's as good as vomiting on that person. Tough. So be patient. Before you say anything, you count to 10. Or you can always say, let me think about it. It's a very good statement to say, let me think about it, or I'll get back to you. Then you open the window and you scream, and then you close and then you come and talk. Right? Sometimes you're so frustrated, you can't, you don't want to react with the person. So, yeah. Right? If you can't communicate properly, then if you feel you're so frustrated with that individual, you just say, give me 5 minutes. You go running around the neighborhood. You could do that also, then you feel calm. And if you still don't feel calm, then you have to go and see a doctor. We can't help you. Okay. Continuing with long-term benefits of patience, it creates a more harmonious and stable relationship. Basically, we understand one another. There's a real projection of compassion and love coming out of that relationship. Love doesn't mean always hugging thing, it means I care for you, yeah? I mean well for you. I want you to be a better devotee than myself. I went through so much difficulty, so I'm helping you. If you are a better devotee than I am, and I'm that much more happier. That's love. It's not like, no, I want to be better than you. I want to sit on top of your head. And in Harry Potter, they have this guy sitting on the head, right? Yeah. You don't want someone sitting on your head. Nobody wants that. Yeah. So it creates that harmonious, stable relationship. Meaning people run to you and ask you, can you help me? I trust you because you care for me. Right? That's what you want, right? Vaikuntha? Right? Otherwise, you don't want to, you pass the Vai and you have Kunta only. Yeah. Misery loves company. So that's what is the flaw in this world, Everyone is miserable, they don't want to see another person happy. Misery loves company. Patience allows for personal growth within the relationship. That's quite straightforward. I don't even have to say anything, yeah? And the third point, each devotee has the space to grow individually and as a team. It strengthens the devotional foundation. So everyone grows at their own pace, yeah. You have a project, you do the project. Within the project, you have sub-projects. Everyone does it, but you do at your own pace. Do what you can. There shouldn't be one rule for all kind of thing. You can't do that because everyone can start at the 100-meter line, right? At the 0 meters, and then they run. Not everyone is going to come to the 100-meter point at the same time. There will be stragglers, there will be a couple of people in front, right? So that's how we see, we allow individuals that space to grow spiritually also. And it's essential, which means we care. It's okay, you take your time, and you can move faster, move on. Otherwise we lump everything as one, like impersonalists. Yeah. And this growth makes the bond more resilient to life's ups and downs because you are patient. It ensures lasting happiness and satisfaction. You can connect with each other, then you feel confident in that sadhu sangha. Sometimes you feel bad, right? Oh, he knows, she knows so much, he knows so much, I don't know anything, and you feel depressed. Right? So we are not promoting such a culture here. No. You go at your own pace, And sometimes you see someone is so amazing, right? But you forgot that in the previous life that person wasn't like that. Right? We are all going through different phases of our devotional life or career, you can say. So we need to be, again, I re-emphasize, broad-minded when we deal with one another. Always trying to see what is that person's modus operandi, what is driving them. Then we can help. Or we can just shut up and keep quiet and follow whoever can guide us. Yeah. Yeah, so patience also helps us in communication. It plays a crucial role in enhancing communication by improving active listening skills. Yesterday someone brought up that also, listening skills, and reducing misunderstanding. It's obvious. If you shut up and listen, you can know what the other person is talking. Right? If you always want to make your point without listening to the other party, then how do you know who is speaking what? It's just like if you want to listen to Lord Brahma speaking the Vedas, you don't know which Vedas he is chanting, because each one is speaking different Vedas. You need to be Vyasadeva to split it into 4. But we are not Vyasadeva. We are just simple devotees trying to become better. So listening skills is good because it helps in conflict resolution also, right? So those who are dealing with conflict resolution, mediators. You may think, I'm not a mediator, but you have to be a mediator in your family, with friends. And so naturally among devotional community, you have to play that part. Maybe you may not be the appointed ombudsman of the temple, but you will play among your groups. But you also have to know your limitations. And then you can be a very good influence. Otherwise the discussions will quickly escalate or de-escalate into nothingness. So we don't want that. This builds again trust and openness between devotees, fostering a strong relationship, right? It's very, very straightforward. Because both parties are fully concentrating and trying to understand what the other party is saying. And it reduces misunderstandings. Therefore, it builds the trust again. Because this devotee, he's listening to me, he wants to know, yeah. So therefore, it's very important for us to build that. Okay? Now, active listening skills. What is that? Patience enables effective active listening, which is vital for meaningful communication. Again, same thing, concentration, understanding, and responding. If you hear properly. Otherwise, it's always a problem. When one devotee listens attentively without interrupting, it allows the other to express their thoughts and feelings clearly. And remember Maharaj was saying about respect? So that means you respect that individual. Okay, go ahead. I want to hear your side of it. And then you can validate the statements, yeah? Basically, when you listen to someone, it is promotion of empathy. Empathetic or empathic listening skills. Talk to her, Radhika. Yeah. It allows, or allowing time for the other person to speak fully, and it ensures all concerns and viewpoints are heard. Therefore, you avoid reactions driven by anger or frustration. Okay. Active listening goes beyond hearing words. It involves understanding emotions and intentions. That means recognizing and sharing of emotions. I'm going through this, I'm unhappy. Then you can help the person. If a person is coming from a very distressful condition and you have a meeting that's going to talk about maybe building another building, you know. When you're distressed, you can't think about anything. So therefore, it's very important to be able to open up one's heart, and the other person is willing to listen properly. By demonstrating patience, devotees are more likely to engage in honest, empathetic conversations. This approach reduces escalations and promotes a deeper connection. Okay, that's pretty obvious. Patience helps us reduce misunderstandings. Patient communication is fundamental in reducing misunderstandings. It allows you to take time needed to grasp the party's emotions and thoughts again. When conversations are rushed, important details can be overlooked, leading to misinterpretations and conflicts. True? Yeah. Okay. Taking time to clarify points and ask questions ensures both parties are on the same page. So this is an important thing, right? Normally we seem to be listening, but we never ask them, is this what you are saying? Am I understanding you properly? Let me rephrase your question. You see how Maharaj always repeats the question so that he wants to make sure you understand that he understood. So similarly, in a devotee community, it's essential. You know, you shouldn't only think you should only use those skills when you are having a meeting. No, you do it even at home with your children and so on. So they feel, oh, I'm being hurt. Mommy and dad cares for me. Otherwise they'll be journaling, mommy hates me, daddy hates me, they don't talk to me. Right? Yeah, so these are good skills to pick up and use it in your life. But like I said, life skills sometimes very important. And then patience helps in managing expectations during discussions also. You listen, then you can say, this is what we can do. This is our goal. This is what the temple has. And then they'll say, oh, I didn't know. Now I know. How to do this? You must have maybe we used to do it long time ago, many moons ago. Ishtagostis. So I don't know whether Premananda Madhiji, maybe why to give them updates of what the temple has done or achieving goals, something to look forward to. I think we don't do nowadays in many places, but it's very important because then you'll create an environment for willing compromise. Right? Okay, I understand, so I'll compromise my expectations. So that's a positive spin on communication also. So it's good to know that, yeah? Okay. Not every conversation needs immediate solutions. Right? I want to know. No, you don't need to know now. And so it elevates the pressure. And then patience and talking to each other, the thoughtful process decreases the chance of miscommunication and fosters a more harmonious interaction. By dedicating time to clear, patient dialogue, devotees can navigate complex issues more effectively. Not only simple issues, complex issues also you can navigate easily. And the last one is share goals of the individual temple is what ISKCON movement is doing, which I mentioned previously, like having a Istogosti or something. Oftentimes, on the very high management level, GBC level, they do something. The ground folks like us, we don't know what's happening, right? Yeah. So that means there must be some way those information filters through or must come through, yeah. And the last point here, appreciating achievements mean maybe once a year the temple can appreciate all the devotees. You can't just appreciate one or two. And the rest of them will be shooting arrows. So yeah, have a nice get-together and say this celebration is to honor all of you for helping this temple be what it is.
We do that.
Good. Keep doing it. All right, here in a nutshell, some benefits of cultivating patience. What are they? Improve relationship, we just talked about that. Allows us to extend grace and understanding. These are just quick points, so you can at least look at it later and make a better decision in your own lives. Emotional stability. Patience helps us maintain composure during challenging times, preventing impulsive reactions and promoting emotional well-being. Strengthened faith, enduring trials and waiting for Krishna's timing, right? We always want results, but actually it's up to Krishna. Sometimes he will say, maybe in 1,000 lifetimes later. Yeah, maybe. Or maybe tomorrow. Maybe never. Yeah, so if we understand these principles properly, then we know, okay, Krishna doesn't want me, move on. Instead of coming in front and banging your head on the rail there, and then you see markings after a few years. Right? And you can't get it clean. So strengthen our faith like that and say, yeah, maybe Krishna didn't want it, and move on. There's so many other things Krishna wants you to do. Sometimes your desires, it's not what Krishna's desires or the Acharya's desire. How do you know Prabhupada's desire? How would you know? Yeah, read his books and listen to his classes. Yeah, how many of you do consistently listen to Prabhupada's classes and lectures? At least 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. You have to. Otherwise, you won't develop the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada. You can't. It's not possible unless you hear from the Acharya. Right? So at least once a week you all should hear. At least once a week. If not more. Less is no good. 0 is, you get out from this place. You should listen to Prabhupada. Otherwise you can't call yourself devotee of ISKCON. Yeah. You must know our Acharya's mood. Okay, in this next slide, Srila Prabhupada talks about a very interesting thing. Prabhupada points out that in this debased age of Kali, people have become intolerant and are therefore always ready to quarrel. They lack all Brahminical qualifications. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to develop Brahminical qualifications. So one of that is becoming intolerant or tolerant actually. Right? Manda sumanda mattaya manda bhagyo hi upadrutaha. We are very fallen in Kali Yuga, so we have these terrible qualities. In this age, everyone is born Shudra, he says. Parents do not beget children with Brahminical qualities because they don't perform the proper Garbhadan ceremonies before having sex. Today, parents go to sex like hide and seek. Vishnu Prabhupada is talking. And then they wonder why they beget children with Shudra propensities or even lower. He continues the story. Prabhupada then tells the story of the boy who went to the great sage Gautama and begged him for initiation. What is your father's name? Gautama Rishi asked. I don't know, the boy replied. Go ask your mother. The boy returned to Gautama Rishi. What did your mother say? Since she was a prostitute, she doesn't know, the boy replied. Oh, exclaimed the sage, you are truthful, you are a Brahmin. I will initiate you. That's very amazing, just because a boy spoke the truth. This is Jabali. He continues. So there are Brahmanas throughout the world, Prabhupada says, and we must pick them up. That means there are so many possibilities. So many people you meet, you can make them into at least Brahmins, Brahminical level. How? By training them. Anyone can be trained. Anyone. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Then he goes, you American boys showed tolerance by taking up another culture, which you are not accustomed to since birth. I ask you, don't drink, don't smoke, things to which you are accustomed. And you are following, this is tolerance, a Brahminical qualification. So as devotees, we should develop these qualities. It pleases Srila Prabhupada, it pleases the deities, that we are willing to give up things, we are willing to tolerate difficult situations. He points out that tolerance and patience are two important Brahminical qualities needed for success in Krishna consciousness. That's right. If you want to be successful, you need to be tolerant and patient. Right? Very important. It may seem like a simple story or whatever, but it's very important what Prabhupada is trying to pass on. Then he continues, right? So, you are initiated and take to the bhakti yoga process and you wonder, when will that day come when Krishna consciousness will fully awaken in my heart? And many days pass and you worry and are perhaps discouraged, right? We all feel sometimes like that. But because you have been inducted into the process, you should know that someday you will see Krishna. that someday you will be fully established in Krishna consciousness and will be completely happy. Right? He wants us to know this is possible. It's not that he gave you a process and it's impossible. No, he's saying it's possible. But you have to be patient and tolerant. There's going to be so many difficulties. You know, you look at your hand, look at the 5 fingers, they're all different shape. So we are like that. So we can't get along. But look, they all get along. That's why you can hold a fist and punch away all the nonsense in your life. So what does it mean? It means everyone who walks through that door, that temple door, is a potential Satyakama Jabali. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is everyone who walks through, they are the guests of Shri Radha Shyama Sundar. You have to see like that. And then you will react accordingly. If you don't change the way you see things, then you react according to that mode that is covering you. Then you learn to tolerate those people. Oh, this is a guest. And then you say something and then they're like, ah, and then you're like, oh, okay. But you tolerate because they are guests of the Lord. Or maybe a very potential pure devotee, you never know. There was a devotee once, Srila Prabhupada was walking, I'm not sure, maybe it was in LA, temple or San Diego, and he was on the ground, lying down, and it was very dirty, you know. And the devotee is like, Prabhupada, this person is like that. Prabhupada looked at them and said, leave him alone, he'll be okay. So many years later, he became, they called him what, Crazy Peter. I think His Holiness Giriraj Swami writes that. And then many years later, he is Kusakrata Prabhu, who translated so many of the Shastras. So you never know who's going to walk through that door. But you have to be aware of this. So we need to cultivate our Brahminical qualities also. You can't just say, okay, I'm here, I got initiated, I'm safe. No, you're not. You're just starting. Yeah. So you need to cultivate Brahminical qualities. Chapter 18, Samodhamastapa Socham Shanti Rajam Mevacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Svabhavajam. This Shanti is meaning tolerance. Shanti. So question, you should look at this verse and ask yourself, am I a Brahmana based on this verse? Maybe not everything, so work on it. At least be tolerant. And if you're a Brahmana, your work is to cultivate and teach these qualities to others. Right? So as devotees, you help others. Hey, be peaceful, be tolerant. So then they will understand everyone here is tolerant, you know. And then they'll also take up the process nicely. Okay, next verse. Bhagavan api govindo. This is in the purport in Canto 1, Chapter 14, Text 34. This is nice. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the Brahmanas. Without cow protection and cultivation of Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. So it's important that we cultivate these Brahminical qualities and cow protection. Prabhupada continues in the purport, by Brahminical culture or the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance. simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord as He is. So again, we need to practice. And He's promising, He says, one can become a Brahmana and thus see the Lord. You can see the Lord. How do you see Him? You see Him as a loving proprietor, master, friend, son, or lover. And it still continues. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmana as above mentioned. Prabhupada highlights this. And then he says, the Lord is inclined to a Brahmana of quality and not of false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmana by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord. We are talking about developing qualities. We are not talking about born Brahmanas. That's not what we are talking about. That means each and every one of us can develop these qualities if you act on it. If you are Krishna conscious, the Krishna will bless you with these qualities. Okay, we'll continue. Srila Prabhupada wanted to develop the Brahminical culture to guide the world. In the ideal Vedic society, the king, soldiers and other passionate men were always submissive to the instructions of the Brahmanas who were situated in the mode of goodness. So unless you have these qualities, it's very hard for you to guide other people. It's not going to be easy. So we practice, and then you'll find that because you are sincerely trying to help people, Krishna will allow you to do that. And everyone else will say, this person is Brahminical because they are sharing their knowledge. They are helping me elevate my consciousness. At all times, the Brahmanas are endowed with foresight and forbearance. That means in spite of difficulties, they see the future of that individual. Your potential is what they recognize. So devotees must recognize the potential of anyone walking through the door. How can I help them to attain that potential? A devotee, a servant of Shri Radha Shyama Sundar. Yeah. And when we think like that, then we come up with so many different ways of helping that individual. Always trying to help. Always having time for them, putting aside our own needs sometimes. So that's forbearance. That's cultivating their Krishna consciousness, and that's important. So the Brahmanas are meant to guide everyone, and thus they guided the ambitious rulers of society to channel their passionate natures for the good of everyone. So you're going to get varieties of people, devotees, different moods, different modes of passion, ignorance and so on. So you have to know how to use them, or at least guide them according to their nature. So therefore, when one inquires as to the welfare of a Brahmana, the question should be worded according to his condition of life, so as not to disturb him. A peaceful mind is the basis for becoming truthful, clean, equipoised, self-controlled and tolerant. You have to be peaceful. We touched on this yesterday, right? To be peaceful. Calm mind and so on. Thus, by attaining knowledge and knowing its practical application in life, one becomes convinced about the absolute truth. If you are peaceful and patient, then you will accept many things from the Shastra. It will make sense to you. If you're rushing through, it's not speed reading of the Bhagavatam, right? We tend to, I finished. I finished the Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Canto 2. My Guru Maharaj said when they were preaching in the early days, they'll go to different places and people will say, "Oh, I've read the Bhagavad Gita." Or then they will ask them, "Okay, then what should you be doing? What should you be doing?" And then they say, "What do you mean, what should I be doing? What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Sarva dharmam parityaja." So they never come across that. "Oh, I know the Bhagavad Gita." So the same way, when you are convinced with this process, you can convince others. How do you convince? By your very lifestyle. They watch you. Everyone is watching everyone actually. Everyone is judging everyone. So they're always watching. Either they're watching to see you fall or see you do wonderful things. So which one are you? Are you the fly or the bee? Yeah. So in a sense, when one inquires as to the welfare of a Brahmana, you just take out the word Brahmana, you can put the word devotee. Right? Then it will make more sense to you. The question should be worded according to that devotee's condition of life. What they're going through, what they're seeing, right? You have to be very sensitive. You have to develop that sensitiveness. Actually, Krishna is the most finest of fine person, very fine. His senses are fine. Everything is exquisitely amazing. So just imagine, everything he does or so on is perfect. That's why he's at that level. As you practice Krishna consciousness, your senses will also become fine also, right? Before you were devotee, you can't smell anything. Now you can smell everything. And someone walks through the door, you can smell the onion and garlic eaters or whatever. Right? Yeah, someone saying yes, they can, because your senses become fine. Rishikena, Rishikesha, right? Just like the Lord. And so that's what's happening to all of us. And then you must become convinced, this is helping me. I'm becoming refined person. What is that? Becoming cultured person. Okay, this pleases Krishna, this does not please Krishna. And then you attempt to please Krishna. And then whatever you do, you see, does it remind you of Krishna? Smartavya satatam Vishnu Vishmartavya na jatu sit. And everything must remind, whatever you do, does it remind you of Krishna? You should ask. Right? If I do this thing, will I forget Krishna? You should ask, right? So then you can balance in your life, Otherwise, you will just do anything like an animal, So most importantly, to come to this stage, regulation is the basis of steady sadhana. Okay? Regulation is the basis for steady sadhana. Without regulation, proper sadhana is impossible. To come to this level and say, I'm trying to attain Brahminical qualities, it starts with regulation. Sadhana bhakti must be properly performed. We pursue high knowledge sometimes, but we forget the basic. If your house has no foundation, it's going to collapse very quickly. Without regulation, sadhana is impossible, For physical health, for good sleep, just like Subal was saying, yukta hara viharascha, right? Yukta chetasa karmasu, yukta swapno bhavodasya, yoga bhavati dukkada, Everything must be regulated. Then we find that such a person will not be experiencing material pain. Okay, now It's a very famous basketball coach, maybe not to you all, but to the outside world. He says leaders, okay, you can change it to devotees, must have patience for those under your supervision. Don't expect too much too soon. Maybe it was easy for you, right? Some of us, we do things, it comes naturally. Maybe it was easy for you, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy for somebody else. Be sure you have patience. That's the only way you can help others, actually. Otherwise, it's very difficult to help people. Prabhupada said, with enthusiasm, patience and complete faith in Krishna, you can overcome all kinds of obstacles. So it's very important for us to appreciate this point. Now this is a comparison chart, if you can look at it, and if you want to take a picture or whatever, go ahead. I'll put up another one later, but yeah. Basically, you know, in many cases, forbearance and patience are often used interchangeably, but they carry some slight distinct meaning. Yeah? In forbearance, there's a level of resilience and empathy, whereas in patience, it requires perseverance and trust in the Lord. Okay. Forbearance embodying Krishna's merciful attitude requires us to endure offenses or provocations without seeking a revenge. Right? So forbearance helps us to learn to let go of the need to seek revenge. Right? You tolerate, you say it's okay. But if you don't tolerate, then the spontaneous action that comes out is to get back at them. We are supposed to develop spontaneous love of Krishna, but then we become spontaneous revenge takers. You know? So we don't want to do that. So let go of wanting to seek revenge, but we must actually become conduits or channels of Krishna's mercy. That's what we are supposed to become. You should see, how can I help this individual get closer to Krishna? It's not that you became devotee and that's the end of the world, you know. I'm done. Everyone can go to, yeah. That's not what we are meant to do. We are actually supposed to help others who don't understand what we are experiencing here. If you respond to offenses with forbearance, you create a space for repentance. Okay? And then transformation of that relationship. You allow that to happen. What does forbearance mean? It means we are actually trying to imitate the Lord's goodness. That's what it is. Okay. And therefore, when we do that, we can come to repentance, or the other people will see you to be so forgiving that their hearts may change simply by seeing your example. I remember I was in college many years ago, and we live in an apartment, six of us, 6 rooms, and then one day one of these guys went, really crazy. So every time he sees me, he'll scream and wants to come and beat me up, and I'm like, oh. So I avoided that guy. I didn't retaliate or anything. When I see him, I'll just go away. And simply avoiding and tolerating, you're in the apartment and if the person is in the kitchen, you can't go, just tolerating. And at the end of that year, the person came and I was thinking, oh no, he's going to, beat me, and because at the end of the year, he started crying. And then he apologized. And he was saying, he was going through a lot of emotional things. And so he saw me as a person he can take out his frustrations. And so he was apologizing on and on and on. And at that moment I realized, that, thank God I did not retaliate or react to this person. And now the person became, all of a sudden, from such an angry person, he became so sweet also. So there's opportunities when we forbear, when we take certain things. Yeah, okay, I'll accept this. I wasn't a devotee at that time, I was just a student, but for some reason I just tolerated. Maybe I was a coward, But in any case, that's what I'm saying is, because I tolerated, Krishna helped the other individual to understand that he was wrong. Yeah. To extend the grace and understanding, mirroring the way Krishna interacts with us. So that's another way of what forbearance is, and I touched on it earlier. And then finally, we break the cycle of retaliation and revenge. Right? Little kids, you see them, they sometimes say touch, and then the other kid will go and touch again, then you touch. So you take it to adults, adults will be punching and so on, or writing email or text messages, Facebook, right? Instagram, TikTok, no TikTok. Okay. Other things, right? Yeah, so all of you use those things to communicate and so on. So yeah, and then every time if one of that person is giving class, the other person who don't like will say something nasty. Any comments? Yeah, this is this, right? So we take revenge like that, and it's a never-ending cycle. Confirmation. You can take the phone and sell it on eBay. Okay, so we should break that cycle, and let's continue. This is another chart for contrasting forbearance versus revenge. You can take shots if you want. I got it from, as I mentioned the other day, from psychology studies, yeah. And it's very useful for devotees also. It doesn't mean devotees don't get psychoanalyzed, Only what outside people get psychoanalyzed. No, we are the same. Until you go back to Godhead, you will be analyzed by the material energy. Okay? Now, from now on, we're just going to look at some examples of tolerance and forbearance. And this morning, this particular one was highlighted. Lord Shiva is saying, "My dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas, being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness." This is the story of Chitraketu. Yeah, he's coming in his aerial mansion from Vidyadhara. He's like the king there. So Mahaprabhu says, what is that? Tarurapi sahisnuna. Just like a tree, a devotee can also tolerate very nicely. They can tolerate all kinds of curses and reversals in life. That's a devotee. We are practicing devotee. So we should practice tolerating curses from your best friends or your neighbors or others. Yeah. Until you become very powerful, you can't really, your curse is not so strong. So wait until you become and then go ahead and curse. But remember, every time you curse, you have to take a reaction also. Okay? Right? Yeah, so don't curse. It's like you lose all your, what is that they call it? Tejas. Brahma Tejas, yeah. Tejas, yeah. So here, indirectly, if you read the purport and all, Lord Shiva, he forbade Parvati to commit the mistake of cursing a Vaishnava. Here she does it. And of course, Chitraketu, he's like, no problem. Tattenu kampam. He says like that. I don't mind, And he indicated that although Mother Parvati was powerful, the king, Chitraketu, he's the king in Vidyadhara, he doesn't show or retaliate. He could have cursed her also, but he doesn't. By not retaliating and by not showing anger, but by accepting the curse and so on, Lord Shiva is telling Parvati, actually he excelled you by his behavior. So this goes back all the way to the beginning of our seminar, Sadachar. Vaishnavas, our ornament is the way we behave. Right? Wherever you go, whoever sees you, your behavior, should be an impression in their mind, in their brain. It's seared in there saying, these are amazing people. Who are they? Angels on earth. That's what they should say. So one has to be extremely careful while dealing with exalted personalities. Because we may not understand the behavior of an exalted person. We can't. You don't know, first of all. To know someone is exalted, you better be exalted also. So therefore, you don't know who's exalted. Therefore, Prabhupada said, that is the reason I ask you all to call each other Prabhus. So right, Amata and Prabhu. So you all should behave properly like that, yeah. And the way they behave, it may not affect them because they're exalted. But if we try to imitate, it'll affect us and we'll make mistakes. So here you see, Chitraketu did not retaliate. He did not seek revenge. His intention was good. When he spoke what he said to Shiva, he was actually saying it's funny that you're sitting with your wife and with all these sages. He saw the whole thing comical, so he commented in that way, but she took offense, yeah. The intention was good, but the activity was unpleasant. He shouldn't have said that. That's the unpleasantness, and unpalatable. Therefore, he should not be blamed. Because he's exalted. Although she cursed him to become Vritrasura, a demon, if you look at the mistake he did and the curse, it's not equivalent. He just said something and she said, "Go to hell, man." So we should control our anger and temper, which is why you need to be patient, tolerant. And so, give me a day before I curse you. Okay. Yeah. Right? And then you go home, then you call them, and then they'll be, oh no, he's cursing. No, that's jokes aside, but you can say, just go away. So although she cursed him, it was disproportionate. It's not equal for what he did. But he still accepted the curse. So as practicing devotees, we may have to practice that also. If someone shouts at us and scolds us, are we going to retaliate, or we can say, maybe I should just go away quietly and think about it. Yeah. Maybe there's something. Best way to think is, what is Krishna saying through this person? I can't hear it now, but there's something Krishna is saying through that person. But of course, if it happens too much and you have psychological problems after that, then you talk to your mediator or to the GBC or whatever. Yeah. But if you're okay, then move on with your life. Yeah. This is a famous quote. All of you should know this, right? Yeah. So basically, Krishna is instructing Arjuna not to lament, but to tolerate. He's saying, tolerate, Arjuna, tolerate. That's what we are meant to do. All of us, actually, if you live in this material, you have to tolerate, no? You go to the airport, you have to wait and wait and wait. You have to go through the, what do you call that, TSA. You have to tolerate, you have to stand like a fool. And then, it's good because they're protecting you, but you have to tolerate all those inconveniences, right? Like today it's colder than yesterday. It's not like it's never cold, but it's always cold here. So it's just a bit more colder. I actually felt it, pain on my cheeks when I was walking. I said, whoa. Yeah. So it's not that Arjuna should forsake everything. Like, for example, let's say you come and then you are practicing and someone is nasty to you, and then you blame the whole movement. I'm not coming anymore to temple. That's nonsense. The reality is maybe you don't want to come to temple and you're looking for an excuse. Right? That is the reality. Why? Because your relationship is with Krishna. That one jiva is making noise at you. That's got nothing to do with your relationship with Krishna. No one can come between you and your relationship with Krishna. And if you react, means you don't understand the philosophy properly yet. Time to read Prabhupada's books. Stop listening to nonsense. Right? Yeah. So he is instructing Arjuna to tolerate and perform the duties so that one can attain liberation eventually. So a devotee does not think, he does not consider what exactly happens to him, whether it is happiness or distress or justice or injustice, right? Many of the questions are pertaining to justice, But we should ask ourselves, what does Krishna want? So we have to raise our consciousness, and that's the difficult part actually in the practice of Krishna consciousness. Because why? Purusha prakriti stohi bhungte prakriti jan guna karanam guna sangasya sarasat yoni janmasu. As you associate with these modes of nature, they affect you, they affect your consciousness, and therefore you associate with them and you see things through the lens of the modes of material nature. So rise above that, Nishtraya Guna Bhava Arjuna, rise above the modes, then you act transcendentally. That's the whole talk of Krishna to Arjuna. Be transcendental, and then you don't worry anymore. Yeah. Then you won't worry because you know everything, where everything is situated properly. And then you will say, if someone does something to you, or if they have some kind of feelings or emotions, you will say, another Vaishnava, so-and-so, is afflicted by me. me or affected by me because I said something. So then let me clarify my intentions, but not justify and not blame. Right? We always want to justify why I said that. No, you say, I'm sorry, I hurt you, I want to know how I hurt you, or apologize. Actually, that's not what I meant. That's wrong. Don't worry about it. Just say, I'm so sorry. Because, we all make mistakes, and sometimes even though we are very careful, still when we say something, it may hurt another person. Like, I may be saying something, someone new walks through and they hear me saying, you fool. They may be thinking I'm calling them a fool, right? They'll look around and say, well, I'm not a fool. Yeah, it can happen. Yeah, so we should always clarify our intention, but we should not justify nor blame, but just beg for forgiveness and move on. All right, cultivating, no? So this is in Adi Leela, Chaitanya Charitamrita. A devotee engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord should practice forbearance like that of a tree. So this is in the Shastra. You're supposed to practice. All of us are meant to practice forbearance. Right? You have to ask yourself, how much can I tolerate? It'll come. We will come to that. This practice of forbearance, tarorapi sahisna, is very difficult, Prabhupada says. So you all can have a sigh of relief. It's difficult. Okay. But when one actually engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the quality of forbearance automatically develops. That's a key point here. If you are chanting sincerely, you will develop this quality. If you are not developing this quality, then you better ask your well-wishers, what is wrong with me? You should go to them and say, I can't stand anything. Right? Be honest about it and then let them help you out. Automatically develops, Prabhupada says that. A person advanced in spiritual consciousness through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra need not practice to develop it separately. That means you don't go and look for trouble. Right? Go and have a fight to see, am I forbearing? Do I tolerate? Yeah. For a devotee develops all good qualities simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. How sincere are we? That's what we should ask. And then you'll find that maybe I need to improve my level of chanting, my consciousness, I have to improve. And then you will make time for it. And you'll keep aside a sacred space for yourself and Krishna. So when you chant, you are having that relationship with Krishna. That's between you and Krishna. Maybe you have Krishna in your altar, then you have your laptop in between Krishna and you. Then maybe you need to move it aside. Yeah? Or your cell phone. Many of us are married to the cell phone. Actually, what is that? It'll come to me, yeah. Manaha sastan indriyani prakriti stani karch. Mami vangsa jiva loka, that verse. Manaha sastan indriyani, the 6 senses. Each of us are married to the 6 senses. It's in the Bhagavatam. It says it's like having 6 wives or husband. Yeah. So it's always dragging you this way or that way. They are saying, what about this, what about that? So we should be very careful, yeah. How much to tolerate, right? This is what you all want to do. So what did Mahaprabhu say about tolerating? First, he of course says you should be like the Trinarapi Sunichana Tarorapi Sahisna Amanena Manedena Kritanya Sadahari. He says we should tolerate like that. So we should be tolerant like a tree and submissive like grass. Nevertheless, the author of these instructions, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, did not tolerate the misbehavior of Jagai and Madai. He didn't tolerate their misbehavior, right? When they heard Lord Nityananda, he came to chop their head off. He didn't care. So Srila Prabhupada writes in his purports, one should be meek and humble in his personal transaction. In our own transactions, we should be meek and humble. People shout at us, we should be just meek and humble, tolerate. That's what he says. When insulted, should be tolerant and not angry. Okay? Try to practice. This is all a question of practicing. Retaliate when there is blasphemy against one's guru or another Vaishnava and be as angry as fire. Prabhupada writes this in the purports. Only when it's against the Supreme Lord, one's guru or another Vaishnava, you see someone blaspheme another, you go and shake them up. Real good. Right? That's what he wants us to do. So Jagai and Madai did not behave properly, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore did not tolerate. But as Prabhupada says there, you can retaliate. He did not retaliate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not tolerate. As soon as Nityananda was abused, right, he came flying. So much anger, so much so that Jagai and Madai were so afraid. Then they understood this was grave offense, and there was transformation. So similarly, do you or do we want to commit offense then hope for transformation? No, that's not first class. We want to be first class Vaishnavas. So if there is blasphemy, there's three actions Prabhupada says. When blasphemed, one should be able to stop them with arguments and higher reason. That's the first way. That means you know your Shastra. So when someone blasphemes, you quote the Shastra, you say this is, and you are wrong, so you defeat them. Okay? Higher reasoning. If you can't do that, then you should give up your life right on the spot. But if that's the case, then nobody will be here for a seminar. Or maybe one or two of you will be here. Yeah, so we can't afford that. Prabhupada don't want that. So he gives us escape. If you can't die on the spot, please go away. That means go away from that spot. Yeah? Don't hear anymore. Yeah, if you hear blasphemy, it will contaminate your heart. That's the whole idea. So therefore you should not hear blasphemy. It's not healthy for us. So there's a pastime where in Banaras or in Kasi, the Mayavadi sannyasis blasphemed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he was dancing and chanting, and so they say he's a crazy fella, he's a sannyas and he did. So Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar, they heard the criticism. And so they came and then they complained to Mahaprabhu, what to do, we can't do anything. So Mahaprabhu told them, don't go there, And it was intolerable for them. So this is how a devotee should be. You hear some blasphemy, either you defeat them or you go away, but you should be intolerable about that. But later on you can see how Mahaprabhu went there and transformed them by his behavior. Of course, if there's too much and it's adharmic, then the next slide will make sense. When their cousins, the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, known as the Kauravas, unlawfully contended for the throne, the Pandavas showed patience and tolerance. But when the Kauravas persisted, the Pandavas could tolerate no more, and the great Mahabharata war ensued. So that war was very bloody. You all read Mahabharata? It's horrible, horrors. But finally, the Pandavas got the rewards of tolerance, patience, and being Krishna conscious. They remained faithful to Lord Krishna, although they were banished to the forest for how long? 12 years plus 1. Bonus, 12 plus 1. You buy 12, you get 1 free. They lost everything, but they persevered. Everything was taken away from them. They fought the battle, and ultimately they became the kings because, and Prabhupada says, that's enthusiasm and patience. Of course, we don't want you all to go out fighting or something, That's not what he means in that sense. It means they persisted and they were waiting for the Lord's mercy or blessing, and they continued. Although they were in such a difficult situation, like many of us may be, and we will drop everything. We'll say, I'm not going to chant, right? I'll keep the bit, no more. Krishna's not helping. I'm now in denial that there is Krishna. I don't care. Krishna, you rascal, like that, Like you take on the mood of like a paternal personality, but actually you don't have that adhikar yet. But we can't do that. As I said earlier, There are more examples of tolerance and forbearance. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Here is Daksha. Although Lord Shiva, the Daksha Yagna, right? Yeah, 4th canto. Although Lord Shiva could have killed or made it clear to Daksha at that point, he took the humble position. Humble means tolerant also. Tolerating the insults of Daksha. So therefore he is very tolerant. So same thing we learn from this pastime. How nasty Daksha was, right? It's like, Daksha is the temple president. Lord Shiva is the cook downstairs cooking. And the cook married the temple president's daughter. And so every time the cook comes up to see the deity, the temple president says, go away, you're dirty man, go away. Unnecessary anger. So in the same way, Daksha is like that. So you can relate, it happens, right? You can put all these personalities in your own life and you can see it's actually happening every time. Yeah. That's one. Let's look at the next one. This is Bhumi Devi. This is in the purport, Canto 1, Chapter 12, verse 22. In the modern age, the people have begun to detonate atomic weapons on the surface of the earth, and still the earth is forbearing to the inhabitants like a mother who excuses a little child. Parents are always tolerant to children for all sorts of mischievous acts. It's so nice, Prabhupada writes like that. It's in the purport, this description, and it's about Maharaj Parikshit, how tolerant he was, although he was so powerful. And speaking of tolerant, today is also Jayadev Goswami's appearance day, right? So I have a story about Jayadev Goswami. May I read? Yeah? I'll read it. I could just give you a summary, but this is so nice. It's written by Madhavananda of the, in Jagannath Puri. This is the story. One day, a wealthy devotee invited Jayadev Goswami to his house. He wanted to give him some coins as a donation. Although Sri Jayadev refused to accept them, the wealthy man stealthily tied the coins in the corner of Jayadev's chadar. As Jayadev was returning to his ashram, he happened to meet some thieves. Sri Jayadev asked, "Where are you going?" The thieves replied, we are going to the same place you are going. From this, Sri Jayadev understood that they were plunderers, and so he untied the coins from his cloth and gave them to the thieves, saying, "Kindly take as many of these as you want and return the rest to me." The thieves thought, "This person is very clever. Out of fear, he has given us everything without our even asking. But later on, when we arrive at a town, he will have us arrested." Thinking like this, the thieves kept some distance from Jayadev while continuing to walk. This is, few centuries, and it's jungle, right? They're walking from one place to another. As they are walking, one of the thieves whispered to the others, "I think it is best if we kill him." Another said that since they had already gotten so much wealth from him, there was no use in killing him. Another thief warned, "If later on he recognizes us and appeals to the king to punish us, what will we do?" Then the fourth thief gave his opinion, saying, "Do not kill him and do not leave him. We should break his arms and legs and throw him in a ditch." Everyone agreed with this idea. Nasty people, huh? And so they broke Jayadev's hands and legs and, after throwing him into a ditch, returned home. After a short while, the king, Lakshman Singh, passed by on that road. He saw a divine effulgence coming from the ditch, and then he found Sri Jayadev joyfully performing Sankirtan, even though his hands and legs had been broken. Tolerant. Talk about tolerant. Let me read that again. He saw a divine effulgence coming from the ditch. Yeah? He hasn't seen the person. And then he found Sri Jayadev joyfully performing Sankirtan even though his hands and legs had been broken. First chance we get our hands broken, Mama, Papa, oh, I'm not chanting. Right? That's what we will say. The king pulled Jayadev out of the ditch and saw that he was shining like another moon god. When the king asked about the reason for his present condition, Sri Jayadev simply answered, "By destiny this has happened to me." What would we do? What would we say? Gradually, as the king viewed Sri Jayadev and heard his sweet words, he understood that this person was a great and powerful devotee. The king considered himself most fortunate to have met such an exalted personality, and so he put Jayadev on a palanquin and brought him to his palace. So the king has some adhikar because he recognized an advanced person. So when we train ourselves, we will recognize who's advanced and who's not also. With medical treatment, he cured his hands and legs. Then the king appealed to Jayadev, "I had a desire to have the association of a pure devotee. And now that desire has been fulfilled. Kindly order me, what service can I perform for you?" Jayadev humbly replied, "O king, please arrange for a variety of sweets and other foodstuffs. Offer them to the Supreme Lord and respectfully distribute this prasad to all the devotees. You should always be prepared to greet and serve the Lord's devotees." Being thus ordered by Sri Jayadev, the king began serving the devotees in various ways, and his fame in this regard spread in all directions. One day, the same thieves who had previously attacked Jayadev, dressed as devotees, wearing neck beads and tilak on their foreheads. Ooh, they are looking like us. And came to the king. Seeing them, Sri Jayadev happily exclaimed, "Look, today my senior god brothers have come." Amazing, no? He then proceeded to respectfully greet them. Sri Jayadev treated the thieves as devotees of the Lord and in that mood informed the king. Jai Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. These are great devotees, and their hearts are filled with love of God. Today you are fortunate because they have arrived at your house. Jayadev is telling the king. Serve them with faith and devotion and be blessed. Receiving this order, the king took the thieves inside the palace and engaged his servants in serving them. Nice foodstuffs were prepared. Still, the minds of those 4 thieves were filled with anxiety because of their sinful lives. They were also afraid that Jayadev might recognize them, for if he did, the king would surely kill them. Because of the anxiety, their mouths dried up. At last they asked the king for permission to leave, but the king did not allow them to go. Because he's thinking, these are devotees. Finally, when they insisted on leaving, Sri Jayadev requested the king to give them sufficient wealth and let them depart. The king gave them varieties of clothing, jewels and ornaments and let them depart. He also sent a few servants with the thieves so that they could carry their luggage and leave them at the ashram. The king's guards took the thieves' luggage and began walking behind them. After a while they stopped somewhere, and the royal guards sat on one side of the road while the thieves sat on the other. The guards asked the so-called devotees, "My dear sirs, we have never seen devotees like you. Many saintly persons visit our king, but we have never seen the way our king has served you and the way Jayadev has respected you. Therefore, we humbly request you to tell us about your relationship with Swami Jayadev." One of the so-called devotees replied, "This is very confidential. Still, I will reveal it to you, but do not disclose this to others. Previously, your Swamiji, along with us, worked for the king. Once he committed a serious offense, and so the king ordered us to kill him. But treating him as our friend, we did not kill him, but simply broke his hands and legs. Because we showed him this mercy, Swamiji respects us so much. We have received what we deserve for our good work." After the ungrateful so-called devotees told this fabricated story, suddenly the earth split open and all of them fell into the crevice and vanished. Right? It is said that, the earth is so tolerant but it cannot stand one who lies. Yeah. Seeing this, the royal guards were highly astonished. They ran to Swami Jayadev and explained to him everything that had happened. When Sri Jayadev heard the story, his body began to tremble out of unhappiness on hearing the thief's fate. Still, he has so much compassion. Thereafter, the royal guards approached their king and narrated both shocking incidents to him. The king ran to Sri Jayadev and fell at his lotus feet. He said, "O Lord, kindly reveal the confidential meaning of these 2 incidents. Why did the earth crack? Why did the saintly persons enter the crevice?" When the king thus ardently requested Sri Jayadev to disclose the actual facts, he spoke as follows. Listen carefully. "My dear king, no matter how people misbehave with saintly persons, sadhus never retaliate. On the contrary, they always try to do good even to their enemies. The devotees are always engaged in working for the welfare of all living entities. Their hearts are filled with compassion. They are sober, kind, and filled with devotional sentiments. As sinful people do not give up their sinful nature, so the devotees never give up their honesty and kindness. One who understands this most important fact receives the favor of saintly persons and the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Sri Jayadev Goswami ki jai. Okay, I will pause here. No, let me finish these slides of examples, then I'll stop. The next one is the famous Ambarish Maharaj. He's very tolerant, even in the face of a demon that came to kill him. He did not even move slightly from his position. It's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 4th chapter. And then the next one is Parikshit Maharaj. The devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though they are defamed, cheated, cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, they are never inclined to avenge themselves. Jayadeva Goswami. We just read that, just like that. So Maharaj Parikshit could have counter-cursed, but he somehow saw Krishna behind all this. So a lesson for us is, anything difficult we go through, we should ask, where is Krishna in this? Or if you are not able to do this, say, how can I see Krishna in this? We have to practice. We have to practice, otherwise it doesn't come automatically. And I think this is the last slide. You should know who this is. Haridas Thakur. 22 marketplaces. He was caned. In some countries, in the prison, like I think in Pakistan, Singapore, maybe also in Malaysia, they cane thieves and so on, or someone who robs and steals and so on. So they hire these professional caners. And the caning is not you like go to school and you get cane in the hand. They cane on your buttocks. And these professionals, when they cane, they have a special bamboo. And it's like 10 to 12 feet long. So they stand and they go, and you scream like hell because the whole flesh tears. And so they are afraid of even one stroke. So they'll say, put me in the prison for 10 years, I'm okay, but I don't want the stroke. So sometimes they get 2 strokes or 3 strokes. And it's so painful. And then they'll go back to heal for the next stroke. So once it's just about to heal, they come for the second stroke. Crack. Same spot. The guy who does it is so good, he does it on the same spot. So it's, capital punishment. But the thieves and so on, they remember, never, do that crime again. But if someone steals, you hug and kiss them and say, don't do it again, you think they're not going to do it? It's not going to happen. So here Haridas Thakur, 22 marketplace, and what was happening is, he didn't die, and this the caners, the punishers, they became worried. So on the contrary, Haridas Thakur felt sorry for the unfortunate caners who were committing the offense. And so he prayed to the Supreme Lord to forgive their offenses, like that. Okay, I will stop here. This will be for the next, tomorrow we can do this. All right, comments, questions, clarification. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for the very inspiring classes. Your previous one, this one, all of them have been so, just so enlightening, so wonderful. And I wanted to ask that sometimes we read these stories, these pastimes, and we feel it's not relevant to me. Because I'm not Jayadeva Goswami, I won't be glowing in the ditch. And, if someone breaks my bones, I won't be chanting like that. So how is it relevant to me? Yeah,
but we take lessons from that. That means we may not be broken, we may not be able to chant when we are broken up and so on, but there may be so many other kinds of events that may take place in our lives that may bring us down. In all situations, we are supposed to rise above this. Krishna tells Arjuna, rise above the three modes. Nishthaya guna bhava Arjuna. So we are in this condition because we are in the modes. Our Krishna consciousness means we are not supposed to be in the modes. So the idea in practice of Krishna consciousness is to understand how do I disassociate with myself and my nature from being affected by the three modes of material nature. So when we understand that, then that question doesn't come up. The purpose that of becoming a devotee should be the prime thing in our consciousness at every time of our life. From the time you get up, what do you do when you get up? First thing, you pay obeisance to your spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and to the presiding deities, right? So that means your consciousness is focused on pleasing them. So when you say, I'm broken up, I'm not going to chant, then who are you pleasing? It's a challenge, I do agree with you, but it's a challenge when we don't want to pursue true Krishna consciousness. Oftentimes we take up the process, but we don't want to see the goal. And therefore we think this is just another, religious organization. And that's the failing in our, individually we fail ourselves. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. And I want to say that these examples that you provide are very inspiring. so it's very true what you're saying, just that when we read them, we're like, okay, actually this is, at least we know the standard, like you're saying, that this is the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly when the Bhagavatam is all about pure devotees, we are not. So we know the goal, it's there. If we are asked to read and follow, it means we also can reach that goal. Otherwise, why the acharyas speak on the Bhagavatam, right? Yeah. Thank you though for the question. Yeah. Yes.
Radha Krishna Prabhu, we know that for organizations there's objectives to be achieved. There's results that we actually have to keep in mind. That's what we exist for, to actually achieve this objective. In terms of our ISKCON institution, we have to fulfill the mission of Lord Chaitanya. We have to bring Krishna consciousness to every town and village. Yeah. So there's a task. There's tasks of maintaining deity worship. There's tasks of preaching, book distribution, festivals, organizing, education, providing service. So there's all these things tasks that we have to achieve. And then there is a relationship, the people that we have, the devotees. And in my observation, you see that in many times the task covers the focus on the devotees. So we're so pressured to actually provide results in this task that we have the devotees on a secondary level. So when I hear this presentation, especially today's presentation was so much about showing patience towards, others, and how that will bring out the best, not only for yourself, but also for others. And as a result, for the whole
community
and
society,
and everything. But it's not something that is so easily applicable. We can see that in our society, especially in our institution, we haven't been very successful. In fact, we have lost so many of the resources, human resources that we have, because of devotees feeling hurt. So obviously, this is an attempt to correct the situation.
Yes.
But what else can we do? What is the changes that are required for us? I mean, here you have a group of people that are all enthusiastically participating in this type of program to become better. But not only individually, but also as a community, we have to change. We have to change the paradigm. So what can you say about that?
Shifting the paradigm, yeah. Don't lose your enthusiasm. Very important. As you mentioned, here in the community, there's so much enthusiasm for becoming a better devotee and so on. So don't lose that enthusiasm, but as I mentioned the other day also, look for someone, if you don't have the enthusiasm, look for someone who has that enthusiasm. Associate with them with the right reason for associating. We fail to associate properly, mostly. Although we have so much philosophy, we don't know how to actually associate with one another. And that brings up a lot of problems in the long run. The focus is not what Srila Prabhupada wants us. Now, if you really want to know what those things are, the Nectar of Instruction is very clear about that. From the first four verses, if you read, Srila Prabhupada talks about the purpose behind ISKCON movement in many of the purports, if you read that very carefully. So yeah, maintain your enthusiasm at all times, associate with people who are favorable, and if they are always bringing you down, then you have to reevaluate your association with them. It's very important. This sadhu sangha, out of affection for someone, we may associate with them, but we are thinking, I like them and they are my friends, but then they may be the problem that is holding you back from achieving a higher status or a higher state of consciousness. Sometimes you may associate with a devotee thinking they are your friend, or you grew up with them, but they are always talking negativity. Unless we recognize these things are not going to help me become enthusiastic in my services, we will never make that change. So what does it mean? It means we need to know what are the good things to do, what are the accepting and rejecting, basically. Favorable items, rejecting unfavorable items. That stage, we chant that verse, anukulyasya, pratikulyasya, everyone very nicely we chant, but we don't know how to reject and accept the right things in our movement. I can't say everyone, but I'm saying in general, that's what you see, and because we don't know how to practice that, we entangle ourselves in further issues and problems. Yeah. Yes.
In developing these qualities of patience, tolerance, and perseverance, I wanted to request some clarification on how our conditioned bodies' Ayurvedic temperament plays in. So I have full faith that bhakti can transform our nature. And because my application of bhakti has its limitations, it seems that I will at some point hit the limit of my capacity in terms of, if my body has a particular Ayurvedic, whether it's Pitta, Vata, or Kapha, it's very hard for people that have a lot of Pitta or Vata to develop this level of patience and tolerance and forbearance that we're speaking about. So we probably cap at some level because we have these natures that are driving us and our bhakti is not performed with its full force.
I think when you start thinking like that, you're already building a barrier to make advancement. You're already saying, I have this nature, this body. You're already surrendering to the modes already. So I think that's the wrong way to approach that. Rather you say, I do have this nature, but I will use this nature in the service of Krishna. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. So use that nature in the service of Krishna. Then you'll find you go beyond that. Yeah? Just like the Kshatriyas, Arjuna, Krishna said, use that nature and fight the dharmic war instead of going into the forest where you will fail. Arjuna failed by saying, I don't want to fight, I want to go in the forest. So here, similarly, you cannot say, I have this nature because my Ayurvedic doctor said I'm like this and so on. So you put a barrier and then your consciousness is not able to accept things that you should be able to accept if you never heard, I'll tell you a story. There was a devotee who went to see an astrologer. So the astrologer said, oh, wow, okay, for the next 7 years you have bad luck. So this devotee was doing amazing service, but as soon as he heard that he had 7 years bad luck, he stopped serving. And he used to come from Mangalarti, he's in bed. Big went and saw him, say, what's wrong? He said, I have 7 years bad luck. So he created this, his own karma, there's a saying in English, I can't remember, but he did that and then he made himself and he left the movement. 7 years. Of course, if you don't chant and don't do, better you go out of the movement. Instead of staying and committing offenses. So we shouldn't, put too much focus on that. Yeah, my health, I will take care of my health. So I'm Vata. So then I'll do, get massage, oil massage, Vata goes down. Things like that, There are various ways the Ayurvedic doctor can help your Vata go down, but that's not the goal. We are not worried about that, right? What we should be doing is my health good or not? If it's good, then I will do the service. Because ultimately Krishna is the greatest Ayurvedic doctor. So he'll fix you. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
We are discussing about devotees having the Brahminical qualities and especially
developing.
Yeah. So I was contemplating on the recent events that has happened in the Bangladesh. So most of our community members over there are so helpless and they just left. So if everyone is having only Brahminical qualities, when such situations comes up, right, we need to also get protected. So that would be...
You're just repeating someone who told you we need Kshatriyas.
I'm not saying that Kshatriyas, but how can... Yeah,
now you say yes.
Yeah, it would be... Yeah, so it would be nice to have them for protection, but at the same time, the main emphasis would be on Prabhupada teachings.
Yeah, maybe you can be like Parasuram, you can be a Brahmana and Kshatriya at the same time. Right? So why worry about those things, I think what had happened there is a political problem. Devotee, you should be aware of it. The way you help them is you have a gathering of devotees, appeal to the Lord, do a kirtan for those poor people who are suffering in Bangladesh. You cannot take up arms and go. You say you need something to fight. If I ask you, okay, change up, put on the army clothes, go to Bangladesh and fight for them, will you do it? No. Yeah, you'll say that, but if I put you in the war, then it's a different story altogether.
But I'm not trained up for that, so I'll be hesitant for sure.
Yeah, everyone will say the same thing. So we shouldn't comment just ad hoc like that. We should understand what is going on. That's one thing. The second thing is the devotees in Bangladesh also told the GBC and so don't say anything. Yeah. Because the more you publish worldwide, the harder they are giving us hell there. Yeah. So there's so many parameters to consider. This thing that you said, I've already heard so many times from different devotees. It's going around the world. Yes, it's unfortunate these things happen. Now, let me ask you, just like the devotees feel that way, what about the Palestinians and the Jews, they are killed? Do you feel bad or are you feeling happy?
Of course, I feel bad for both sides.
Yeah, so did you send an email to people to fight for them? No.
At least I will be, at my level, at least I will be.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, my whole point is this, we pick and choose what we want to, highlight in our lives. That's not Krishna conscious. As a devotee, we care for every jiva. Where's your jiva doi? Right? When Rupa Goswami chastised Jiva Goswami and said, get out, Sanatana Goswami came back and says, what is the most important thing? He said, Jiva doi. Then he says, where is your Jiva? So we have to think carefully when we make statements. Devotees shouldn't unnecessarily voice political statements. We shouldn't. We should think carefully. Be very patient and tolerant and analyze. Let the leaders, our leaders, do that, They have a reason they are in the GBC position. Let them take that role. If you want, then you become a GBC. Yeah. Honestly, otherwise we will, among ourselves, we will be wasting time and instead of being Krishna conscious, we are some other consciousness. Yeah. Unnecessary, yeah. But thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Smile. It reminded of that event, so.
Okay, thank you.
Very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. You were saying you didn't get time to prepare.
Yeah.
But your presentations are amazing, and I was hearing a lot of feedback from both the youth and adults. It's just
Hare
so
Krishna.
practical, relatable, and as I can see from this, it may not be the weeks of preparation, but 40 plus years of practice and preparation. Thank you.
Hare
so
Krishna.
much.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to hear a little bit more on in one slide you were showing this basketball coach about patience with others, letting them grow at their pace. So we see sometimes in the enthusiasm of bringing them, we drag them at our pace.
Yes, that's a good point, yeah.
So while we understand
Jai Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai, Shri Gaura Hari ki Jai.
Prabhu, I'm thinking either extreme is not very beneficial because we don't want to force them, like Subal Prabhu's point, we may actually push them away. But at the same time, I'm thinking if we say, oh, let me be compassionate and let them be at their pace.
Extreme, yeah.
Particularly with the youth, I'm thinking specific to that. How do we, push them, but gently? Looks like you're really good at it. I was hearing from a lot of youth. Just these 2 days, they were just so...
You come once in a while, they'll say anything, If I stay here for a few months, then you'll see. In any case, I think the intention must come from the right place, from your heart, for their well-being. And generally parents are seeing from their point of view, and they want their children to be materially successful and so on. So therefore, And they want them to be also spiritual at the same time. So it's and so the child is left in a position where, which way shall I go? And they are unreasonable. I go to school, I get this knowledge, I come home, they are saying this. So they lose interest at home. Familiarity breeds contempt sometimes. So they are looking for someone who can understand what they are going through, the anguishes. Teenage life is difficult, especially nowadays. And if you can give them that space to express what they are going through, and you are not judgmental, then they will see you as a friend. Yeah. Yeah, so nothing wrong if they want to go and do some hiking with their friends or whatever, as long as if they appreciate the fundamental principles of Krishna consciousness from a very young age, but you don't push them so much, they understand they will never go bad. At least they'll be good citizens at the least. Yeah, at the most they'll become devotees in due course of time. Yeah. Ultimately, I think the best thing is you always pray for them. All of them. Yeah, pray. That is our Vaisnava culture. We pray for the benefit of others. So you should do that, and leave the rest to Krishna. You can only, as a saying in Texas, you can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. So kids are like that. Yeah. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. You mentioned that something to the effect in one of the slides that when there is forbearance, there is space for repentance, and then that helps in us being conduits of Krishna's mercy. Could you explain that?
When someone is disturbed or not happy or they are angry with you or whatever, at all times, if you can tolerate, then you have the intelligence to try to understand where they're coming from. Okay? So when you can try to understand that, then you can then try to help them. That means instead of retaliating, you can show affection. That's a very difficult situation, but we read the pastime of Jayadeva Goswami, they broke his hand and so on, but he was so loving. That's the highest standard, but you can think, how can I help? Maybe not directly, but through another person, a third party, like that. Or you can just go to Radha Shamsundar and say, please, help this devotee. Yeah. So then you become a conduit. Right? Because you are now channeling the Lord's mercy to this person. Otherwise, they may never receive mercy. Right? It's a possibility. If they are such a nasty person, and if you don't want to pray and nobody wants to pray, who's going to help them? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for all these wonderful pastimes and relating them practically to how we can try to at least apply them. What was very profound for me when you said that forbearance creates space for repentance. That was really something very deep and profound for me, because in our practical experiences we have seen that if I am irritated or blabbering so much, and if other person is completely calm and quiet, then I really think that what is happening? And then I get a chance or opportunity to contemplate on myself that what am I doing? So this was really very profound, and if I will also apply that, I will give the other person also an opportunity to do that.
That's one thing. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, Prabhu, thank you. And about all these pastimes, I was also thinking, as Gopal Hari Prabhu kindly brought this point, that how they are relatable to us. And I felt that they are, when we hear them, they move our heart a little bit every time. And probably it is giving us a capacity to open up every time, little bit, as we are hearing more and more. So thank you for that too. And just one question I had, we have some idea of the goal. And through all these classes, I'm feeling that if the goal is very clear to me, it is always in the forefront, then there is a very high possibility that I'll be able to follow through these instructions and apply them in a proper way. But I have a very hazy idea of the goal, like I know, okay, Krishna Prem, that I want to achieve. But it is so far away that it is not even a goal in my day-to-day life. So I request you to please, like if you can shed some light on this, that how can we make this goal practically possible? I mean, to have at least that confidence that some point in time I will be able to achieve it, and every day feel that way, that so that I can maintain my enthusiasm.
You actually answered your question by continuously hearing more and more pastimes of devotees. And the more you hear, the more you'll get closer to that reality. The more you hear Krishna's pastime, there will be a pastime. One day you will, thank you. One day you will recognize a pastime or a pastime that is attractive to you. That's the beginning of the goal. Raganuga Bhakti starts like that.
Hearing.
Yeah, so continue hearing and continue with the practice of sadhana bhakti. That is the solution.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. I think we should stop here, right? It's getting late. Yes?
Thank you, Prabhu. I have a question related to Lord Shiva, Parvati and Chitketu, then Vitrasura pastime. If we see, it's like a curse, but eventually that curse was an escalator to go to back to Godhead.
Yes.
So how to understand whether its curse is helping or it's previous karma or...
It's not karma. It's an intervention of the Supreme Lord. When Chitraketu was going through the difficulty, the Lord wanted him to come back to Godhead. So then, but he went to the planet of Vidyadharas. So in Vidyadhara, he's a king and he's going to live there for 10,000 years or more. So that the Lord is thinking, it's taking too long. He's not coming back. So he arranged for this cursing so that he can come back quickly. So that's the understanding. So the Lord arranged to get him home back to Godhead quickly. But from external point of view, it looks horrible, right? What do you want? The looking horrible and going back to Godhead, or looking good and not going back to Godhead? Yeah, so that's how it is. Okay, thank you very much. Srila